Yeah, and also kind of covers if Yarn had even an inkling of wanting to play the Undying, he would have gone for it, but there you go. RCY Tinker. They decide that now it's time. Funnily enough, into Disruptor, maybe you have a few more concerns just because, of course, Glimpse is always going to be a little bit of a threat. And I think this is where in the Disruptor, NoRunes do a really smart thing of just giving their 5 a lockdown spell because right now, Tide Mirana, it's very hit or miss. It's got a big stun, but not those casual stuns. So this Disruptor does tick a lot of boxes. But the real question is this Tinker too early? Is this too greedy from DogChamp? And of course, you see that you're not going to get Nyx Assassin. You aren't going to get hard countered. There's no Night Stalker in this game. There's not even going to be a Beastmaster. So is this going to be their time to kind of turn things around? Or do No Runes simply say, okay, you've got a Tinker, boom, Pango, you banned out Bloodseeker, we see everybody else, we're just going to play for magic damage instead. And no,
Hmm.
they decide to go for Puck. So again, doubling down on their ability to hunt down these heroes, but also just a classic guts pick.
Hmm. Yeah, hero he hasn't really gotten to play much because Puck has been either banned or ignored in quite a few drafts, but NoRunes really looking pretty good here. It's just going to be a question of whether or not they can shut down and catch the Tinker at this point, but if it comes down to a full-on fight, I mean, this is terrifying, right? They've got so much lockdown, so much AoE. They are missing, that right-click hero, but presumably that's where they're going to look to Minnie's hero for, and if you're DogChamp, some of those options have been taken away, right? The Bloodseeker's out, the Faceless Void is out. Those are kind of two of the big ones, but you're not going to be able to completely whittle down the pool here. So what is it that they're going to be most afraid of? Well, they picked up a Tinker, so the Spectre ban does make quite a bit of sense.
Yeah, I think Spectre ban's your free choice. You're also playing versus a Slark, so what do you want to end up matching versus him? Of course, you always talk about ground damage. You talk about AoE lockdown. That's where the Slark really starts to hate his life a little bit more. And actually, Noruns are the ones that ban out the Night Stalker. I like it. It's good cover. It's one of those cases where you have the persisting silence that we always talk about versus Tidehunter, where Disruptor and Night Stalker just become invaluable versus the hero because you can't crack and shell off those silences. But I do wonder here because, of course, DogChamp right now, they need a monster hero. They can't pick Pango because they're playing versus a Puck. I feel like there could be maybe a swing for the Beastmaster yet again. Just anybody
Hmm.
to have lockdown. And then, of course, having the creeps and the vision that just run at you. And then you've got even more to play with your Tinker because, of course, the Hawks fly through, the homing missiles land a little bit more. That's probably your easy pickup if it does end up getting through. But Monkey King, okay. Again, leaning more to this being a ranged or a melee hero for Monster because it does just kind of make sense. They also need a little bit of beef right now because right now it is just Undying. He's going to be on the front lines making everybody hit him, everybody become his target. And then once he dies, well, he's just going to die. He's not going to be able to survive very long in these team fights. And DK,
Yeah.
very, very different ban. I guess maybe feeling the fear of the DK versus Puck matchup in terms of the game, but then also wanting to not be too scared of the tower push, but that's not the hero I was really expecting.
That does leave the Beastmaster, as you said, just kind of wide open here, and I don't know. The Monkey King ban from DogChamp. Just another hero that can just maneuver through the trees, maybe catch the Tinker out, and does still do a hell of a lot of damage. So they ban it away. They take the Beastmaster. Also protects that because Monkey King kind of makes Beastmaster a little unhappy sometimes. But Beastmaster is still not crazy high on the durability scale, ET. I mean, he is going to be a frontliner and he's not, just an instant kill, but they do have to be kind of careful about the way that they approach these fights because if it turns into a long, drawn out affair, you're basically just hoping that the Tinker dances around the entire opposing lineup and just kills them all off.
Yeah, and now I'm really racking my brain here for Minnie's hero because of course you're in a Beastmaster CM lane now. You've got a Disruptor. You're gonna want something to punish these heroes, but you can't be too out on your own because there is a Slark in the draft. If you end up picking one of those big beefy carries that you're just another hero to get those stats stealing away from. So I'm trying to rack my brain. Don't think it's Troll. Don't think it's Weaver. I don't think it's PA either. It's where I think there aren't that many heroes actually that I feel too comfortable with picking up for Mini. At least if I was in the drafter seat here. So I wonder what Sarem's actually going to pick because There are a lot of heroes that were your best options just taken away. I think DogChamp are just right on the money with a ton of their bans. And let's see. They
Hmm.
actually go for it. That is not what I expected. And of course, classic. You cannot touch him. And of course, Sark can kind of touch him a little bit more now with the Ags build up, but this is the simple, hey, we could be even at 10 minutes. We could be even at 15 minutes net worth wise, but 20 minutes into the game, AM's 5k ahead of you. At 25 minutes into the game, he's 2 items ahead of you. At 30 minutes in the game, you can't kill him anymore. And you now have to be so scared about that mana burn. In DogChamp, they've got a bomb on their team. They have a Tinker who's going to be stuck in these fights, giving away his positioning. If they ever find him, he's popped. This is like the most situational anti-mage game I've ever seen ever. But it also works out in the lane, because even though you're not the strongest hero versus Beastmaster, Yarn's the one who's been playing the CM whenever they go for it. So now you don't have to worry about Frostbite. Okay, you might need to worry about Frostbite in the lane, but you have an answer to pretty much everything DogChamp have with this pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, I mean, you're not going to have enough to really lock down and kill the anti-mage until way later, and as you just pointed out, ET, way later is when the anti-mage is at his best as well, so Stonebank's got to pounce, RCY's got to maybe just chain hex him. I don't even know really. And then even in that scenario, you then need to have the damage to actually kill him off. So as you said, an unbelievably sort of niche pick here, but if it gets the job done for NoRunes, it's still gonna look pretty damn smart.
Yeah, and of course, the reason why they have to go for it in this situation is because DogChamp were so good with their bans up until this point, but I don't know, a part of me is getting kind of excited, you know? There's an anti-mage here, a hero we don't really get to see all too much, but there's also a reason why we don't get to see it all too much, because once this Beastmaster gets home with the Dominator, he starts running around the map, well, you start losing your buildings. And now the name of the game for NoRunes is time, because if this anti-mage has a terrible start, if he isn't able to farm, if he isn't able to get his items, then you can get outpaced very easily. It's why the hero is effectively dead for a lot of teams, because even though he's gotten so many quality of life changes and buffs over the past few patches, you could still just lose, because you need 3 items before it's AM time. But if Mini can do it, if he can close the distance, if he can somehow keep his head in the game long enough, then everything could just change on a dime.
Is a little bit of a risk there when you frame it that way, but it's a risk that NoRunes are willing to take. And hey, game one of a best of three, you know, if you're willing to take a risk, now is a perfect time, because if it doesn't work, you have game two to try and get yourself back into it. If it does work, then you're in the driver's seat with the 1-0 lead. So looks like the game's going to be resumed here. Guts was DC'd for just a little bit, but he's able to get back in there in really not even a minute, and we are good to go. We'll see if there's any sort of fight around these runes. This ward out from NoRunes, though, I mean, it sees pretty much everything in this middle lane, so they know exactly what's up with this trio of heroes, and they're going to be the ones who get to make the call of whether they want to fight. If they do, though, well, I don't know. They've got some slow, they've got an arrow already skilled up from Hane, so they could do some damage.
Now, can you imagine how demoralizing it would be if the RCY Tinker loses to a last pick anti-mage? I don't know. Maybe that's the ego getting hit up a little bit, but we'll have to see, because RCY is also not missed on this Tinker. It has looked so good every single time he's picked it up. But okay, maybe a slight battle here on the runes, and RCY will have to bend over, and clicking war, B9 wins it. So we get an even trade.
While up top, yeah, they're just maybe trying to get one or two more hits in. No, not going to be able to catch up. That goes a little bit faster, so we shall simply settle into the lane here, and we're gonna be interested to see ET what the game plan is here for Hane, whether he just uses that arrow to play the creep game, because I feel like Heiko's not going to have too many opportunities to really do much, right? You're laning as a strength hero, a strength melee hero at that, against an Undying, so yeah, maybe Hane is really just going to be here to get the ranged creeps, get some XP where he can in the side camps, and just kind of do stuff like this, rather than really look for any actual setup play, as this time it's B9 who's going to be DCing, so Slight issues on both sides here, but hopefully his reconnect is just as fast as Guts' was.
Yeah, and despite the hero still, I want to say, not feeling like the best, you are really adept at trading still. You are still very strong in the lane on this Mirana. You just do a little bit more damage than your average support. Your attack speed's pretty fantastic. Got maybe a little bit more armor as well. And you always get this Blightstone. So it just always feels like you maybe edge out the trade a little bit more favorably for your side than your opponent's. And B9 will eventually be able to just, close the gap and be the annoying Undying we all know him to be. But that's where I think Stonebank is really the one that we'll have to see if he can keep his head clear and just not eat too much damage. Because, of course, they always talk about with Slark, it's a race to level 6. B9's in the lane, means he's sapping XP. He really would rather just try to pull as much as he can, but if he's pulling, then he's not spamming his decays and being annoying in lane. So goes in two different directions.
Yeah. If he stays in lane, you get benefits, but less experience. If he stays out of lane, then the Undying just doesn't really get to do much of anything. As Hane, second arrow, second range creep. So it is going to be the focus for him. Meanwhile, over on the other side, Mini, well, he's taking a little bit of damage here. Monster has not been shy about throwing out those axes in these early stages, and, well, that just might be really their best tool to try and slow the anti-mage down. I don't think there's too many opportunities for them to really punish him heavily, but just try and keep him on low HP. Maybe make him think twice about pushing up to the lane, or to the creeps themselves. See where that gets you.
And there is a ton of creep manipulation in the bottom lane. They just weren't unable to do anything. But top,
Stonebank.
well, there you go. Level 2. Didn't even use the arrow. That was just right clicks with the gush. He's sitting at -5 armor with the Blightstone and was unable to get healed.
Yeah, B9's holding the point. He was trying to figure out, well, do I need Tombstone or do I need Soul Rip? The answer was Soul Rip, but he didn't figure out that was the answer until it was too late. So, still holding the point. Now he'll go for the Tombstone. See if he actually deploys it, though, because this is not going to be an easy kill even with that Tombstone down. He does throw it out, but at this point, I feel like their moment is... Oh, God. Their moment is kind of past. As Hane very late on the arrow throw there. And now he might just die to the zombies. Can they kill the Tombstone off in time? They can. Hane's going to survive, but... Huh. That was a bit of a strange series of events. Now, Stonebank is actually going to try and pounce forward, because Heiko still doesn't have a crazy amount of health, and with the decay coming in, it's even harder, but Stonebank used the pounce, so now he has no movement. Hane's going to try and track him down, needs the right clicks in here. Does he actually get the vision he needs? Yes, he does. They'll find the kill again onto the Slark. And maybe B9 can clean up some sort of return kill? Nice. Okay. That's going to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, but Heiko was out of mana. Hane's at least has a lot of HP to still kind of stick around in the lane, so it's not like B9 is going to be able to get control of this lane before the Slark is able to come back, but Stonebank is certainly sad with how this lane has started out.
0-2 now for the Slark. He did get an assist on the kill there on Heiko, so it's some gold, but not exactly a free lane for the Slark to this point, so... Nobody said it was going to be easy, laning into Tide Mirana. It's a lane that hasn't popped up all that often recently, but back in the day, this was all the rage, and now you can kind of see why. It's just very stable.
No, it's very stable, and of course, so many teams' bread and butter, as even though the top lane might not be going so well because the Mirana is just sticking around, Yaren is rotating. He's stacking. He's making sure that Guts is... really unable to do anything, and the real concern for that Tide Hunter is going to be when the Mirana has to rotate for runes. It's where Heiko being left alone versus a Slark and Undying, that's going to be your big problem, as B9 is getting extremely low here. But this is also where Hane is, one more leap, but that's going to be it, and are you just going to die now to Stonebank? Stonebank doesn't have boots, though, is the problem. He's had such a rough lane up until this point, so...
Heiko might just go for B9. He was angling for it, but the Tombstone's gonna shut that down, and Hane might be in some trouble. Pounces back up in 3, but he's able to fall back to the tower in time.
Yeah, kind of a missed play, but, isn't the worst thing, because now Stonebank should get a bunch of levels easy, and hopefully can catch up on some last hits, because he is sitting well and truly at the bottom.
Yaren? No. Got a little low there, but Mini doesn't want to pull the trigger blinking forward for that kill, and it's only a level 1 Thunderstrike, so they don't actually find that pickup. And Sarem, well, this is always the thing, right? You would love extra points in the Thunderstrike to be more annoying in the lane itself, but Glimpse and Kinetic Field are just so damn strong. You always end up having to decide, do I sacrifice damage for more lockdown? Most of the time the answer is yes.
No, and
Tane?
well, yeah, shows up mid.
So bold, just straight up TP in there, but RCY is able to really just get himself away. He's level 6, so he's going to start the shenanigans, but this was the concern, ET. You said, what does Heiko do when his support's out of lane? He is getting hit up, but not really able to bring him down. His Falcon Blade, you know, toss another 200 health onto the Tidehunter, and is not easily picked off.
Let's see what the rune is looking like, and it is a haste, so
Ooh.
nice rune to maybe make that rotation happen, but also not damage or spells, extra spells to go on that dive to the Tinker, so Guts might need to wait again for his moment, but RCY is just farming up. He hasn't been put under pressure by the supports just yet, but you can only imagine that that's going to need to come next. And again, there is that triple stack of the Ancients. I don't know if he kills it when he's level 7 or level 8, but he always buys his own smoke, goes and farms it, ends up level 9 or 10, and then we're only 2 levels away from level 12 at that point, so that's where the Tinker really starts going.
Well, Monster gets glimpsed into the kinetic down bot. They're going to burn away his mana. They're going to drop the Dream Coil, too. They're still not getting this quickly, though, and with Yaren just pushing forward, I think it is going to turn into a trade-off, but now RCY TP'd in. Mini, that's his cue to back off, and, well, you have to sacrifice Sarem there. That's unfortunate, but that's core for support, and, oh, never mind. I was going to say, hey, you brought the Tinker down to the bottom lane, but then guess what? It's Tinker, just TP's out immediately.
Yeah, just comes back mid, continues to be kind of annoying, but that's also where you did use your ability, so Sarem, okay, gonna glimpse him back, but I don't think you want him, because he's actually quite the robust hero. Maybe with the Mirana rotating over, but this needs to be a freehand arrow. You can't really set this up at all, and Destroyer's even blocking the arrow right now with his range creep. He just knows which side to stand on. Let's see, though. Guts, we used before.
There it is.
And there it is.
He's got some stick charges if he... No, he's stunned for too long. Okay. And B9, welcome to the lane. Now get the hell out. He gets glimpsed all the way back up top. Well executed by NoRunes. It's staggered. It's delayed, right? But eventually they're able to hit home onto the Tinker, and that's a play that they're going to want to do really repeatedly at this point, because you still can't let RCY... Well, pull exactly what we saw HFN do in the previous series, right? Don't let him just slink off to the jungle and farm back into a position of strength.
No, and we'll see, because the smoke is purchased, so he's going to do his thing pretty soon here, but Sarem, even though he gets that big D ward, doesn't scout the quadruple stack large camp or the triple stack ancients. So once RCY starts it, there might not be enough time to actually contest it, but they're also already underneath other pressure, because Monster with his Helm of the Dominator, he's going to start to move in onto Mini, and Mini just has to go. It's where the anti-mage is just purely too weak of a hero. This is where you have to start conceding things, and the only thing you can do is hope that your puck does enough damage in combination with Heiko, so that way you can maybe defend your towers. And Heiko doesn't have Ravage, but he would love to defend bottom or trade away the towers himself, but this is where, like I said, the farm's happening. Tinker's farming his ancient stack. Nobody's coming because they can't come because the side lanes are locked up, but they also are very aware that he's not showing mid, so they know something's happening.
Well, he actually kind of stops halfway through that and TP's home, so it's a little bit of a strange one. Did not finish off the stack. He did take the, he took the large camp first, though, so he was able to get pretty much all of that gold into his hands, but the Ancients continue to stand there, so interesting. In the meantime, though, Monster takes the tier 1 tower. He is now free to make some moves as Yaren, speaking of making moves, not quite fast enough with the Frostbite, went for the Nova first, and that gets Mini that split second he needs to blink away.
Yeah, just a little bit too quick on it. And now, well, the tower trade is going to come through. The puck decides that nobody's going to come up here. Something's already left. Might as well just make my presence known. Why not? But mid. Oh, God. And Mini's traded. Oh, no.
You know, Counterspell's neat, but you still end up getting hit there. Very, very unfortunate for him, because, yeah, that's just a kill onto Yarn. That's really not even that big of a deal in terms of giving up your life for, so... And he just gets taken for a bit of a ride there, and he did buy another smoke on the Tinker, so when he didn't feel he had the time to go for the stack the first time around, he does fall back and use another, which... 2 smokes is kind of biting into your team's resources a bit, but with the way DogChamp's lineup kind of looks right now, I don't know how many smoke ganks they were looking for anyway. So
Yeah, it'll be fine. Get to farm up all these kill and neutral items as
that's a
well, you know,
trinket.
for the boys. But yeah, that's huge for him.
What an item. And what a tier 1 neutral item too, right? Say that in air quotes, because it is pretty impressive as Heiko. Speaking of impressive, okay. Cleans out the Dom-helmed creep, so he gets 100 gold in his pocket. And he is doing Tidehunter things now, stepping in front of that tier 1 mid and just looking to lock this lane down for as long as he can. But Sarem, he's got to be careful. Monster actually... Okay, he was more focused on getting the creep than actually spotting anyone out, as Yarn is going to walk into a static storm, but... Well... I don't know. Static Storm onto a Crystal Maiden. Sarem still dies to the axes and the creeps anyway, so... A 1-for-1 support trade where you use a very long cooldown kind of seems a little ill-advised.
Well, and it was also in response as
Mini win?
Stonepick is...
Oh, he doesn't.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, he used Mana Void very early on into that kill and just didn't pop Stonebank, so... There you go, the Sparks just gets 10 agi, gets to walk back, and actually Mini, he doesn't have enough mana for the pounce, though. So I don't think this is going to work, so very odd. But yeah, Heiko gets taken down in the river, just going for the Invis rune.
Tried to push across the river, runs into like 3 heroes and a tombstone, then tries to fall back and does not make it away as RCY.
He's hunting. He's looking for Mini.
They're going to see Sarem first. That's not what they wanted, but Yarn's going to try to bait this. Here comes the move. RCY's in. And Mini's able to blink away, so... Yeah, they don't quite get the kill that they may have been looking for originally, but that's still a clean sort of bait into a kill.
Yeah, now we're getting ever so closer to those Tinker timings that we're always fearsome about, where Guts has not been able to connect in a good few minutes here on this puck. The Coil has just been kind of sitting on the back burner. He's looking for his Witchblade before I think he goes for too many more plays, and DogChamp are struggling right now to kind of put any more pressure on, but it's where we do end up in that farm where we've got 2 different ideas here. Is the Anti-Mage going to be able to get this Battle Fury and an item after that in enough time, or is Tinker going to be too massive before that? Because even though we're farming, I feel like the Tinker does come online just a little bit sooner, and we'll have to see. Because DogChamp definitely want to go for that mid tower, just that they are also very aware that just running into a Tidehunter is not the way to do it.
Just farming up on the high ground there, and yeah, once he gets the Shivas... Oh, we've seen it before, ET. He just TPs everywhere, takes every single lane, pushes everything out. You lose 75% of the map if you're NoRunes, and he's not ready to go yet, so... Walking a very fine line here, you would think, well, let's buy some time, let's get Guts going, but as you also pointed out, right, he's not been that active, but the Witchblade's done. They gotta find something. I mean, they have a smoke? They do have one up on Hane, so could look to make a move, but the Mirana's kind of operating independently of the team here, just trying to head bot and keep those creep waves from hitting up onto the tower too much, but ET, it feels like NoRunes can't do this. They can't afford to just sort of split up and hold these lanes at bay, because then things are going to start to turn on them as you see a trio of heroes pushing mid. Stonebank does get picked off. It's a very nice play for Mini, but it's going to come at the cost of the tier 1 tower mid.
Yeah, unable to hold on to it, but yeah, you do get a very important kill on that Slark, just trying to slow him up a little bit more. Punish the greed as well, because he's gone for the Midas, so his items are going to be a lot slower, but that is kind of the name of the game at this point. Everything is going to be that much slower. NoRunes cannot force Roche with Heiko's Vlads. DogChamp could probably look for it, but if they're on the low ground without BKBs, then they're at the mercy of the Disruptor and the Tidehunter and the Puck. So we're in that stalemate where everybody's spells are just a little bit too strong, so nobody ends up being able to really do anything. And again, whether that benefits the Anti-Mage or the Tinker more, we'll have to see.
Little bit of a collapse here in the jungle. Stonebank is... He's going to try to catch Guts, but that's not exactly easy, so... Guts walks away. The Slark, though, doesn't care, right? He went for this Midas for a reason. Right, Guts leaves, so he's just going to say, cool, I get to keep farming. Meanwhile... Oh. Tinker, how close is he getting here? He could get the plate mail right now if he wanted to, but... Well, if you're RCY, the plan is to really not get hit for the next 5 to 10 minutes, so... He's not really going to buy anything out just yet, but the progress is being made. He's getting closer and closer, and the AM on the other side finished the Battle Fury, but this is always the thing about the Battle Fury. That's not a fighting item, right? Not even close. You buy this item to farm more. They need to try and do something, as RCY actually is getting hit up a little bit here, but Stonebank is now going to try and push in. They want Sarem. They'll take him down. The Static Storm is not really going to matter, as Mini simply has to blink away and TP out.
Yeah, just ends up being too big of a fight for him to actually stick around. Battle Fury is completed, though, so something to look forward to, as Mini also stands at the top of the net worth. But you used Static Storm. You TP'd out and then immediately showed on the anti-mage with this ward's bottom, so this feels like a free Roche. Unless you remove Heiko from this lane, and Heiko is just kind of gunning for a kill right now. It feels like he's in the same lane as the anti-mage, so things look a little bit weird, but because everybody is a little bit slow to move from NoRunes, yeah, it looks like this is just going to be a free Aegis. And we'll have to see. I'm assuming that Stonebank will walk over and take it, but yeah, that'll be the case. And yeah, this is just a free Aegis. Something that NoRunes already, we knew they couldn't fight for, but not contesting at all? That's something I didn't expect.
Yeah. It is unfortunate for them. They just felt like they weren't in position, so... I guess trying to focus on the efficiency. If we rush everyone over there, maybe we don't even get to do anything anyway, so let's just let them have it, I guess. But I don't know if that's the right mindset to have right now, because now Stonebank has an Aegis, and Monster with the Helm of the Overlord, he's just going to keep on pushing. This is the last Tier 1 tower that he is just going to sort of melt his way through, so NoRunes have to try and do something. This is technically something onto Yaren, but I mean, Yaren's been killed off 3 times now, but kills on Crystal Maiden ET is not going to shift any momentum.
No, it definitely won't. And okay, scan comes through. They see that heroes are still top, and they will begin to kick him out here. Get the Hawk killed, get all of these high ground wards. They are still Invis and Guts. Oh, they used Roar, so gotta be so careful here, but does the Puck find a coil he wants?
Apparently not.
And then they all walk away.
That's... that sucks so much for NoRunes. You had the numbers advantage if you did want to push in, but with the way it goes now, that's just Sarem kind of dying for free, so... Unfortunate. And Guts... I don't know, man. I mean, he's got a Blink Dagger now. That's neat, but... The AM still needs time, and Heiko isn't exactly looking for any sort of Blink Ravage play, so... You can't throw it out willy-nilly, I guess, but if you're Guts, you got to start pulling the trigger on some Dream Coil plays, otherwise you're not really building up much other than your singular carry.
Yeah, it's a simple case where those supplemental kills make your lineup easier to run. Everything just gets greased up a little bit because people have more money to actually get from kills, but right now it just feels like we're utilizing the map, and it's not like they're not being efficient. Everybody is utilizing the map, though. And that's why we are in this teetering less than 1k gold difference. Everybody has farm. Nobody is falling behind. It's 8-8, for God's sake. Nobody's having a bad game so far, but it's just where I think right now DogChamp do become online a little bit faster. And then once they start to build up those BKBs, what is Heiko actually able to manage? Because last time he played the Tidehunter, it was from ahead. It was in a very safe position, even if he wasn't able to hit Ravages. But now, I feel like we're in that breakneck time again.
Well, Heiko is going to be a nice sort of utility piece here, even without, you know, the Blink at the moment. He's got himself the Hood, he's got the Vlads, he's going to work towards the Wraith Pact, so if NoRunes take a fight and they're all just sort of standing around him as that anchor, they're going to be relatively durable, but we haven't seen that kind of fight to this point in the game. On the other side, well, Stonebank is working his way towards the Ags, only about 1,000 gold off from it. How's that Shiva's looking on the Tinker? He is just about done with it, I believe. So that's probably the single most important aspect here. Once that's complete, Tinker's just going to start pushing your waves down. You're going to be hard-pressed to deal with it as, yeah, Heiko... Thought they were going to go a little bit further than that. However, I think maybe this ward spotted out some of these heroes because, yeah, they seemed to back off just as the reinforcements from NoRunes were coming in.
Yeah, and didn't have the Axe on Stonebank, but Hana's got to be careful. Double pounce. Nope. Decides not to use the secondary one, just out of fear of maybe overextending, but that's also where top lane RCY just barely gets out of that static storm. They were looking for him. They've been hunting for him for so long, but doesn't pan out. And again, we're back on that to that point of the game where not much is really happening. Aegis will expire pretty soon here, just a minute left, but have you gotten enough items out of DogChamp here? And all it takes is a single static storm onto the Tinker or a Ravage, and then the Tinker is blown wide open, and then AM has that bomb to actually have damage for these fights, but it's not this set of items that I'm worried about. It's the next one where everybody gets that much tankier, and then suddenly you might run out of damage from NoRunes.
Oh, Shiva's has been completed, so Tinker's on his way back to grab that. Meanwhile, Hane, he gets hit up a little bit, but Sarem's there to save the day. Just drops the glimpse, forces the Slark to fall back as... I think your timing has to be unbelievably good to be able to avoid that one, but... Oh, he's still in there anyway, because, hey, guess what? He still has the Ag's upgraded pound, so you can send him back all you want. He is able to make up the distance, and Hane does still die.
Oh, it's pretty nice, and, well, Aegis does get reclaimed, but free kill, more damage onto that tier 2 tower. It's just a little chip, but this is a role that Heiko is stuck down here doing. The Tidehunter cannot leave bottom, which frees up the rest of the lineup to run around like madmen a little bit, but again, NoRunes, despite not finding picks or really getting this game started, they are farming very nicely. Mini is still huge. He is still occupying a lane that nobody is really able to force him out of. And that's why the smoke across the map is looking for guts, but I have no. There's no way you get this kill. Even though he did use both, but there you go.
Oof. Fast fingers there from Guts. He's able to get himself away. They're gonna move into the jungle here and kind of take away this triangle a little bit. I think he got the Ancient Black Dragon now on the Beastmaster as well. I think that's a little bit better at pushing than the Shaman, although Shaman's no slouch either, but see at this point, ET, they're still kind of eyeballing this middle lane. Maybe they can't catch Guts, but they're not going to let him just clear out waves for free.
And that's where the hunting is more important. You have to see them actually get these kills, and if you do allow Mini to start getting that split push going, it's that item after Manta style that he becomes more of a threat. And it looks like he's just going to go for the Scotty, so pretty much just the standard. And with Scotty, he doesn't have the most soul kill potential. It's where you still need to turn around and get a basher eventually, but will make him very survivable versus DogChamp. And okay, Roar.
Sarem is just going to get bullied. Arrow hits, but it's a little too late. The Stonebank one in, though. He's thinking about it. No, not going to go for it yet. Meanwhile, RCY. Oh, Coast is clear. He's going to come in, start clearing up waves. Coast is maybe not as clear as I thought, though, as Yarn going to get caught in the river. But, well, we come back to the point that we made like 10 minutes ago when this was happening. If Yarn's sacrificing himself and keeping the course farming, they're going to be okay with that. Stonebank, though, oh, he got the pounce onto Guts. They're going to keep him leashed. Can they finish him off, though? No, they can't. They're going to throw the tombstone down, however, so that means Mini can't come in. And Guts actually might not be safe after all. RCY is thinking of catching him. He is dancing. There's the phase shift. Can he get away? Yes, he can. He's going to avoid the pounce, avoids the dark pack. The glimpse is going to pull Stonebank away. It looks like Guts does make it out, but he's having to do some crazy acrobatics every single time they go after him.
Yeah, and a lot of time just running and posturing, not farming there. So you gotta be very mindful here. I'm looking RCY getting very dangerously close to the Tidehunter, but Heiko and him will just decide to split ways because bottom lane, well, they're going in again, and they actually found Monster. They need to connect, but the rest of the lineup is here, and they found your back line.
Hane's just going to get punished for this. Guts was able to fall back at least, but RCY's here as well, so it's a full party for DogChamp, but I think he's quickly going to leave because he's not needed. for this push. It's just going to be the creeps. Never mind, creeps are gone, as the glyph is going to be used, but that's glyph down. It will be refreshed if they lose the tower, but that might just be the play. Leave the tower to die, because this doesn't feel like a very defendable position. That Hawk is just providing so much vision, so... Oh, the Hawk's now dead, but he can replace it fairly quickly, and if anyone TP's in, they're just going to get scouted all the way. So instead, they're trying to hit up Guts here, and that's Dreamcoil and Ravage committed, ET, but it gets the job done.
No, it works. They're able to move across now, and well, May's going to show up and say, hey, a tier 1 tower? Yeah, I haven't been able to hit any buildings so far in this game. This feels great. You do lose that tier 2 bottom, but putting the Sark on deck is huge, and now starts to snowball you a little bit XP-wise, where we're looking at level 20s, we're looking at level 25s, and of course, with Puck, Guts is still a ways away, but that is that game changer for the hero. That's where you will just kill the Tinker, even though he has this BKB in queue, and RCY is coming closer and closer to it. That could be your way to just win this game eventually if we are going to slow things down that much. And Roche even not cooperating is a pretty long Roche timer, but we'll have to see now how DogChamp want to look at perhaps the high ground, because RCY, he's going to have BKB, he's got a regen rune as well. He is kind of raring to go here, as well as maybe you wait for Stonebank's BKB, but then you hit a huge timing on all of your cores. Just a matter of whether or not you can turn that into actual building damage, or if you still need to give Mini this respect, because, oh, he just finished off the Naya Scotty. He's got 2,000 gold in his back pocket. And I think that's Heiko's blink. Yep. Well, B9, that's unfortunate. Okay, no more smoke anymore, but anybody else?
Oh, Glimpse pulls him back. He's not stuck in the kinetic, though, but he used pounce charges, so he's got ult instead. Shadow Dance gets him away. Mini, how far do you want to go, though? Yeah, he's able to blink out. We're pushing into a couple of DogChamp heroes, but... Okay. You find Bloody 9, not the highest value kill in the world, but it does allow them to maybe take some control around the Roche pit, but still 30 seconds away, so NoRunes, they don't really want to stick around here. As they fall back, control the Roche pit just kind of resets to neutral.
And with 20 seconds left up, again, very big items in queue. Monster's not going to have his BKB for the Roche, at least not initially, but the CM has one. CM has Shard as well. Actually have to be so careful if you're Mini and you try to go on her thinking this is going to be a free kill. Without a basher, she could just turn on you and actually put so much damage on, but that's also where arrow will be a little bit too early. Roche will spawn. We're going to need to arrow again to have just absolute knowledge that this Roche is up, but that's also where we got to get this D word. And finally, Yarn will walk over, kill the obs. So now both teams are back to being in the dark here.
Standoff around the pit is going to start to settle in. Of course, while all this happens, your two sort of main farming heroes are just continuing to farm. Mini right now isn't, but he's looking for the wave to come up to him, while RCY just kind of maneuvers his way through the jungle. So the efficiency play still very much there. Meanwhile, Monster, speaking of efficiency, pushes out the middle lane, so if you're NoRunes, you would love to just sit here and wait and see what happens around Roche, but your map's getting pushed in, so they do need to keep an eye on that, be mindful of it, and at a certain point, I don't know, I either fall back from the pit or try to make a move across the river, because those lanes are pushing, and it looks like they are going to make the move. Full 5-man smoke, Moonlight Shadow to follow it up, so they are getting right up to their opponents here, but they've got all the vision they need. Once they pop, the sentry reveals through the Moonlight Shadow. B9 might go down here, but oh, they're still going to try and force a fight. That's going to be the Ravage. That's going to be the Static Storm. That's going to be Mini popping his ult as well, and it didn't do enough. Mini's dead. Hane's dead. Heiko's going to try to TP away. Does he make it out? Yes, he does, but they threw so much into that ET, and it just didn't seem to matter.
No, and you actually look at the damage that Mini did in that team fight. It's nothing. And why is it nothing? Because he went for the freezing field targeted Yaren. He just sat there in his BKB, didn't take any damage, didn't get his ult canceled either, and just not only was a big aspect of why you died, but a big aspect why you ran out of damage. They couldn't find the Tinker in time. And then, of course, B9, fantastic job just getting the tomb up on the high ground, fighting for the vision. But once NoRunes ward goes down, they're blind. They're in the dark. They're on high ground into Death Shroud, where Stonebank just saves his entire team. He gets everything off, and then you run out of everything, and then forfeit a free Roche now to DogChamp.
Hmm. That's just so brutal. I mean, they used all the ults that they had at their disposal and just did not matter. It was unfortunate. The positioning's good, but the timing, just the timing and the targeting, I guess, as well, right? With Yarn being the one hit is just so rough, but gotta try to reset. You're still only down by 4K. You still have Mini in a position to be the guy for you, but can't afford too many more fights like that. Otherwise, things are going to get very bad for you very quickly.
No, and it's probably a little bit demoralizing. You're always at this point with Animage where you wonder, was that the fight I really should have done this to? Because every loss now is going to matter. It's a carry where every death after this point just becomes a building, and your timer is extremely long. You are so high leveled, you have so much net worth. You're going to get to a point where you just don't want to straight up die anymore. He's kind of hunting here for RCY, but nope, they're running. Sarem also running. Get the glimpse away from Stonebank, so not like the Slark can close that distance, but you also need this BKB on Mini, and he does finally have it, but my big worry is that once he does use this BKB, is he just going to get roared? Is Monster just going to save it for him every single fight? That's going to be your worst case scenario that Mini's going to try to absolutely avoid.
Also, I want to point out here, taking a look at Yarn again, you got a Blink Dagger. So now this Crystal Maiden is going to start hunting for her spot in these fights, right? We saw what happened. BKB Freezing Field with the Aghanim Shard allowed him to do stupid amounts of damage. Now, he's got that extra positioning as well, so Yarn is very dangerous. You don't really like saying that about a Crystal Maiden, but he has been able to get a little bit more farm than any of the other supports here, so he is transitioning to a little bit more of a threat and something that NoRunes are going to really be wary of, ET, because they already are having trouble. You want to catch the Tinker, and you're not really able to do so. You want to catch the Slark, but he's sort of pouncing around and dropping Depth Shroud and getting away from you. Now, all of a sudden, you have to pay attention to where the CM is as well. Just, there's no hero that you can really just afford to ignore.
That's where there are so many targets that you have to hit and you have to be mindful of. It's where that team fight gets more and more difficult for you to execute as this game goes on. And the funny thing is, everything could just begin and end with RCY blinking in, getting ravaged, becoming a 1500 damage bomb, and then killing his entire team. But until that happens, they are just in this game that isn't getting really any better for them right now. Because while the split push is great, and while it might be able to force out perhaps a BKB TP out from RCY, all it is lanes, and lanes that you're very easily able to respond to. And of course, with the Beastmaster pick, you always have a way to get back, as almost got the roar there on the Guts. Still has to run away, but my big concern is once this Hex is done, well, RCY can be the one to actually start these team fights, and if he wants to, yep. He has it. Does it get killed on the Courier? Nope. Mini doesn't see it in time, and, well, here we go. This is where there's now kill threat everywhere, and they're even trying to hide it right now bottom, because Mini, if he doesn't react, he would just go down, and is there going to be a hunt? You know, Mini, knowing that something's up, feeling that something's up, does start to get away, but now anybody is at risk showing in these lanes.
Yeah, they've got the Hex up on the Tinker. Monster finished his BKB too, so there's not going to be a lot to stop him from dropping that roar onto a target. So, two means of lockdown that you're going to be hard-pressed to avoid, although Guts, okay. Defensive item completed. Lincoln Sphere picked up, so maybe that could be enough to keep him safe, but either it protects Guts and leaves someone else vulnerable, or Guts uses it on a teammate, and then he himself could get locked down. So it's nice, but it doesn't solve all of your problems at this point, as this is awkward from NoRunes. They've got a 3-man smoke trying to push onto their opponent's side of the map, but they still need to keep someone mid. That's what Guts and Heiko are here for, because the tier 2 tower continues to get chipped at. Here comes a 5-man DogChamp push. This isn't really even a smoke play. They're just hanging out in their opponent's jungle, trying to maintain control of the map, but RCY did show down bot.
Well, now, tier 2 goes down. They'll have Glyph from NoRunes, but they're even trying to set up onto the Tinker right now. Is that what it looks like? But Stonebank doesn't have a gem, but he feels like something's up here. Moonlight Shadow's still kicking around for maybe another 10 seconds, and look at this.
Arrow.
He just does get reclaimed, but with the sentries, they know what's going on, and now Mini, yep, it's time to evacuate out of the bottom lane. And oh, got someone connected. RCY. Well, there you go.
Hane will go down. Honestly, though, he and Surem were probably the two that you were okay losing there, right? You got Mini out. That's going to be a bit more important, but now they know. If they didn't know before, the Hex is up, and, well, that makes the play onto RCY still not impossible, I guess, ET, but you have to catch him so unbelievably off guard to have a chance at killing him. And speaking of getting caught off guard, that's the roar onto Surem. Can they take him out before the static storm goes down? Yes, they can. Mini now has to just actually activate his BKB to get out of the frostbite, but he's not really doing much damage right now, so he has to blink away. He's going to try to fight Stonebank, but the bash comes through. He's losing his magic immunity. He needs to get out of here. Can he blink? No, he can't. He's going to get hexed. The Ravage, though, coming in to cover him, but it's not enough. Mini goes down, and now the freezing field is slowing Heiko up. Here comes RCY, blinking forward. Guts, trying to create a distraction, goes in for the silence. It's going to work, but Heiko rejoins the fight, so he's still on the front line, and now the dive bomb into the pounce is going to catch Guts. I don't know if he can dance his way out of this one. They're going to try and hit him up with the preemptive axes, but Guts still gets away. His teammates, though, are falling. Hane will fall. Heiko blinking back into the base, but Stonebank is trying to chase. Well, he was trying to chase, but now he'll decide it's not really worth it anymore. But the damage is done, ET. No casualties on DogChamp.
Nope, everybody gets to walk away. Fantastic depth shroud from Stonebank to actually save his Tinker at the tail end of that fight, but that's also why Heiko is so scared, because he knows that if he Ravages and doesn't get the Slark perfectly playing against BKB and Dark Pack, the rest of the lineup gets saved. And okay, nice 4-staff, trying to make him survive, but yeah, you save your teammate, can't save yourself, and now back into the building. Do you have buyback on AM? No, you don't. I mean, it's time to push, and they might be annoying, but oh my god. Ooh.
Oh, man, Guts. I mean, he is still somehow staying alive, but at this point, ET, him staying alive isn't enough. It's not just enough to survive. You have to actually start doing something, because, well, they lost the tier 3. Their racks, for now at least, will hold. So there's your good news. They weren't able to get all the way in onto those objectives, and Mini has respawned, but they're in a rough spot here at down 10k.
No, they definitely are, and for a second there, it felt like maybe there was some danger because there was the Basher picked up on the Anti-Mage, but unfortunately for NoRunes, they can't afford for these fights to go too long. They need to really just make a decisive victory happen in the first 10 seconds of these engagements, or you're done, and you have to wait. And now, that is a killer item purchase for Stonebank. Gets the bottle from his Tinker as well, so he'll have a DD in this next engagement, but what AM absolutely hates is evasion. You don't have enough item slots to go back for MKB in a lot of cases. And right now, okay, sure, you can slot it out, but yeah, Surem just trying to D-ward, trying to do his job. Blade now completed on Destroyer as well.
Oh, man. That's a lot of damage that he can deal. And Surem, at this point, maybe you need to start switching up the roles here a little bit. Have Hane be the one going for those D-ward plays, because if Hane dies, it's unfortunate, but I think manageable. But without static, that's a huge part of the team fight and knockdown that NoRunes don't have. So, maybe you need to keep him a little bit safer, especially since with the Philosopher's Stone, he's trying to slowly but surely work his way towards that Aghanim Scepter, so he has the mute. But you get picked off in like 2.5 seconds. You're not really making any progress.
No, you definitely aren't.
Right.
And yeah,
there's the bash. Okay, I thought maybe he had something planned with the Stormcrafter, but the BKB doesn't really save him. Heiko, though, gonna go in for the Ravage, but RCY is here. I don't know if they want this fight. Stonebank's just gonna start hacking away, getting the Essence Shift charges. Heiko being left behind, dropping low, not dead yet, but just trying to dance his way through the tree line. Did actually have detection for him, though, because Moonlight Shadow actually might just keep him safe. He's gonna be able to blink away. He TP's home, and okay. You don't lose anybody. You get a kill onto Yarn, and NoRunes are allowed to reset themselves.
Yeah, ended up in a situation there where the support dies, you don't have vision, Yarn's got dust, B9's got dust, but all the cores have so much farm they don't have a slot for it, so and then those nice aspects of the Mirana coming into these late game stages, but also got another BKB charge out of Mini though, which is becoming less and less okay, but he also almost has this Abyssal Blade, so then maybe you can just start the fight by chain stunning down a Tinker. Surem, though, I think you're about to get stone banked, and you're stone banked.
It's a hard knock life for the Disruptor, but he got another component of the Ags, so, you know, slowly but surely, it is coming along. Aghanim Scepter upgrade would be quite nice if we can actually pick it up, as we do have another pause coming out. Sarem is the one who pauses it. Not entirely sure what the issue is going to be here, but hopefully it's just a quick pause and we can get back underway. But at this point, well, I don't know. ET, we're 30 seconds out from Roche. Just a scenario where we're just kind of waiting for that before we do anything else, or do you think there's a play to be made before that respawn?
I think we're probably just waiting for Roche at this point, which you hate to say it, but it's also where you did just finish the Abyssal Blade and you did just buy out. So a good little bit of time here for the anti-mage to farm up 1500 net worth to have buyback would probably do NoRunes some good here. Even though that might not be a situation where the anti-mage actually wants to contest the Roche just because he doesn't have buyback, and we'll have to see because they do have vision around that area. They will be able to scout it out very early on here, but when he gets buyback, absolutely they're going to try to contest. If he doesn't, could become a much scarier situation, but again, we'll have to see. As well as with Guts, I think he's got the tome coming out, and he does. I think you might have the 25, or getting very close to the 25 on Puck, but okay, in. They saw him Dark Pack, but yeah, doesn't stick.
Yeah. Does mean that he can't get the melee racks, though, so at least you have that going for yourself. But Stonebank didn't really need anything to get in there. He just walks it in, creeps come up behind him, and that is to the disadvantage of NoRunes, because they need to keep sending people back, and the creeps actually just do it themselves. Okay. Ancient Black Dragon. Very nice character there, so that's the full middle lane taken, and well, DogChamp can set up in the pit. They should know that it's up. If they don't, somebody's going to be checking. There it is. Yarn spots it out, pings it, and now, if they were to start it now, NoRunes are a little far away, but there we go. They are sending heroes in. B9 and Stonebank are going to try and make this happen, and NoRunes quickly have to get themselves over there. The smoke comes out. The Moonlight Shadow will be popped as well. There is a sentry up here, so they just need one of these supports. Nope, Guts actually gets in a little bit early, so it's going to break it up. Oh, Mini! He's going for the initial play onto RCY. There's the BKB. Yarn, though, coming in. Freezing Field activated. Hex goes down. Ravage a little bit late. Static Storm, though, was dropped, but they still get the Roar onto Mini. He's dropping low. Can he get away? No, he can't. Mini dead, and the fight is over. Hane's going to get cleaned up as well, and the rest of NoRunes have to get the hell away from this play. As the Tinker, did he hit? Oh, he hit it a while back. 25, so he does have the mini stun on the Heat Seekers. NoRunes, I don't know. I mean, it's a nice wraparound for Mini, but I still feel like you need backup there. He can't take that fight all by himself.
Yeah, just ends up being way too much. Blows up in their face. And again, both of those cores being just half a level away from being 25, then maybe you actually can get Guts into these team fights, but the Puck is still just focusing on killing creeps, has not really been able to properly team fight. And now finally you do have that Dream Coil Pierce's spell immunity, but it's at the cost of an anti-mage. An anti-mage who would be in a position to buy back, but again, because of the Roche timer, there simply hasn't been enough time, and well, now they know you don't have BKB. Okay, doesn't immediately turn onto Sarem, but I feel like this is at least going to be the top racks. They've got Glyph, but well, let's see. This gets even more complicated now.
Just unbelievable spam of the missiles coming out. And again, those do have the little mini stun attached to them. So no one from NoRunes can really get into position. Top lane will be taken. Still 15 seconds. Do they try to swing bot? Could be risky. No, not could be. Absolutely would be risky. But they're going to give it a go anyway. They do push in. Guts, meanwhile, did get a Hex. It's not actually back to him yet, though, so he doesn't have it, and there's going to be the push in. They're going to jump in onto Mirana first. Hane taken down. Pyko dropped low. Can he get away? He can, but his teammate can't. They're going to lose Sarem. Buyback coming in now, though, from both of the supports. As Mini respawns, they'll try and take the fight, but the Roar, it's going to catch the AM. The Static Storm hits onto absolutely no one. Mini is locked down, taken out, and that might just do it.
Yeah, there's no buyback on the anti-mage again, and now if the Puck dies, that's definitely going to be game. But I feel like at this rate, there's no Glyph. I do not think that you can defend at this stage. GG. Now you're just adding up to it. And yeah, GG gets called. And man, oh man, they try the anti-mage, but at the end of the day, I think Slark's gotten a few too many great changes because every single time Mini tried to go for his ulti, anytime he tried to stick onto any hero, guess what? They get depth shrouded. And you sit there and you run around in circles and the Slark starts hitting you and you are helpless because you have just completely initiated yourself into a fight where you can effectively do nothing. And even though I think seems being a little bit wonky right now, I think I still got the stat screen, but
There
no,
we go.
that is a very well-deserved victory for DogChamp. And now, come game two, will we see the Tinkerband is the real question. And if we do see the Tinkerband, what does that mean about those first few picks? And can DogChamp utilize that against NoRunes? But again, we'll have to see.
Hmm. Both teams showing us something that was certainly entertaining, ET. You can't deny that, but it is RCY who helps to lead his team in. Although, in fairness, I mean, you look at the distribution here on kills and assists, and maybe the Tinker was a large part of it, but it really was everyone sort of coming together. As you said, the depth shrouds from the Slark, Monster hit roar after roar onto the likes of Mini and Sarem as well, just to make sure that Static Storm never became a threat. So they handled business, and it's almost appropriate that the kills are pretty evenly distributed.
No, definitely. Absolutely a team effort. And of course, RCY, even though maybe he didn't have the flashiest game, he didn't have that moment where he's just beyond godlike, he kills, 7 heroes, but he was constantly the one to answer the anti-mage, and he never made a mistake, is the
Hmm.
bigger part. He's got one death. A situation where Mini is within 500 units of him with Surem, with the Disruptor. Their goal is to kill the Tinker. His goal is to push out the wave, and RCY just never fails you, which is a very hard line to toe, but he does it. He doesn't end up getting picked off ever in this game, and the few times that he is caught, he has his teammates to back him up, which is why DogChamp just keep on making this Tinker look so good. This is also where I think for NoRunes, first phase banning that Tinker might actually be a threat, because DogChamp, they might say, well, this is our secret sauce. If we're going to get it banned out against the second phase, well, sure, we're going to rush it. This is going to be our way to maybe win this series for free and continue on in the tournament. So let's see if DogChamp decide to press the envelope here and NoRunes get greedy in that first set of bans, because everything's going to change come game two.
Yeah, a game like this just changes everything. Meanwhile, honorable mention, Guts, the rare deathless performance in a loss. So
Mm-hmm.
part of that was also because Guts wasn't maybe as active as we kind of wanted him to be. But hey, 0 deaths in a loss is always just kind of interesting to note statistically, but didn't help for NoRunes. They're going to have to bounce back, put together a stronger effort in that second game. So we are going to be getting into that second game in just a little bit here. Before we do so, however, we are going to plug the giveaway once again because, well, we're giving away some cool stuff. You can get yourself an Armada 25 FHD gaming monitor along with a t-shirt and hoodie from Beyond the Summit. So you can enter for free at bts.gg/pro series giveaway. We will be drawing a winner at the end of Pro Series. So you've got yourself a couple of days left to enter. Then if you're the lucky winner, free monitor, free t-shirt and hoodie, not a bad deal there. So again, bts.gg/pro series giveaway. Get your entry in before Pro Series ends and see if you're the winner. So that'll do it. We're going to be moving on to game number 2. Will it be another 2-0 sweep, or will NoRunes be able to make the adjustments necessary to get themselves back into the series? We'll be finding out in just a couple of minutes.